In my head, while I remember thinking in my head then, I knew that I was going to stop one day. Like, I always knew it was wrong. I knew that I was going to reach a better point. And then suddenly weeks pass by, and then months pass by, and then a year passes by, and I watched my friends die, and I watched my friends hurt other people, and you're like, oh, this is my life now.
Here we go. Get it, get it. Oh.
That's a big question. My name's Allie LeBlanc, and I live in Fort Worth. And today I'm going to be making a tomato mustard chutney.
One or two purple.
I know that, like, if people don't like me, they'll at least like my food. I'm currently trying to start this business called Lazy Girl Foods, and it's basically certain types of things that I'll be making and canning and selling so that girls that aren't as culinary inclined can make better foods that they'll enjoy. It's the same thing as with art or music or anything. As far as where I come from and how I got to this point, it was I fell into the life I had because there was nothing better to do. I grew up in like a normal family home, nothing too terribly rough. I obviously don't remember the first time I took a Xanax, but it started out really slow. I would take, one a day, then it started to 3 a day, and then at some point I remember just waking up and taking 5 or 6 and then crushing bars up and just snorting full Xanax bars, like every 20 minutes a day. A lot of what glamorized and made me feel better about what I was doing when I was on drugs was the music. It glamorizes that whole lifestyle, and that's not music that's made for children. The guy I was seeing was the dealer, and he would pick me up from high school, and we would go to the hood and pick up like 500 Xanax, and we'd take 100 a day between the two of us, and then just go around selling the rest and just being really like blacked out a whole good portion of my life. And it's easy to get to think that like that status is actually something worthwhile, you know what I mean? It's easy to think like, oh, I'm cool because I'm doing what the music says, and the music guys are cool because they're millionaires, and if I'm living that life, then I'm just as good. And eventually I came home one day and I was so strung out, and I think I pulled a knife out on one of my family members, and they immediately called the ambulance and sent me to rehab, and it took one time in rehab for me to realize like that was not what I wanted. That was not the life I was meant for. People are like, they don't think that Xanax is a really big deal. Like, my mother's got a prescription. I know friends who've got prescriptions, and they just hand it out like candy, and they don't realize, if I took a Xanax right now, even though I'm 9 years clean, and even though I have all these things that I'm working for, I would sell everything in this house for another one. It's that addictive. I definitely still feel the effects. Like, my memory is terrible. When I'm reading, I'm now dyslexic. I developed a stutter, and I've developed loads of anxiety after this, and I don't think that that's something that I had before. When not everybody gets better, you have to want it enough. You have to really want to be better. And I think I was fortunate enough that my grandparents burned it into my skull from the day I was born, drugs are bad, drugs are bad. So I kind of always had that in the back of my head, but some people don't. So basically what I want to do after my culinary degree, and I'm always going to have this Lazy Girl Food side business, but what I really want to do is volunteer. There are companies in Colorado and New York that go to inner cities and teach kids the value of growing their own food. And these are kids that aren't as blessed as me to have grown up in an even halfway normal kind of environment, So that's kind of like my passion project right now, is really just getting to a point where I can travel and spread that knowledge. And
Hey everyone, Cameron Smith here, creator of the Teardrop Project. Thanks for checking out this episode. Thanks to Allie for giving her perspective on everything. If you like this episode and want to help us make more, like us on Facebook, share the episode, comment, all that stuff. And we have a Patreon, check that out.
Now I feel like that's kind of how I become at peace with myself, is like that's my way of giving back and like not repenting, but making up for those things that I kind of went through.